Good evening, friends. Welcome to this evening of webinar on Autobiography Yogi app, which is called Wisdom of Paramahansa Yogananda, Daily Wisdom of Paramahansa Yogananda, and you can find it in Google Play Store and download it and read one wisdom from Autobiography Yogi every day. So this evening, we will be starting with some chants, some meditation, and then we'll be discussing few of the wisdoms from Autobiography Yogi app this evening. Myself, Brahmachari Devendra, and Dr. Aditya, Brahmachari Aditya, will be here with you this evening. And we are very happy to share this wisdom from Autobiography Yogi. So let's begin with some chants, at least 2 or 3 chants and prayer and meditation. Chant is Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai Paramahansa Yogananda, Jai Guru, Jai. Jai chant is listen to my soul song, listen to my heart song. In secret in my soul I will gather blossoms for thee. Dipping them in devotion, I will lay them at thy feet. Listen to my soul song, listen to my heart song. Listen to my soul song, listen to my heart song. In secret in my soul, I will gather blossoms for thee. Dipping them in devotion, I will lay them at thy feet. Listen to my soul song, listen to my heart song. Listen to my soul song, listen to my heart song. In secret in my soul, I will gather blossoms for thee. Dipping them in devotion, I will lay them at thy feet. Listen to my soul song, listen to my heart song. Listen to my soul song, listen to my heart song. In secret in my soul, I will gather blossoms for thee. Dipping them in devotion, I will lay them at thy feet. Listen to my soul song, listen to my heart song. Listen to my soul song, listen to my heart song. In secret in my soul, I will gather blossoms for thee. Dipping them in devotion, I will lay them at thy feet. Listen to my soul song, listen to my heart song. Listen to my soul song, listen to my heart song. In secret in my soul, I will gather blossoms for thee. Dipping them in devotion, I will lay them at thy feet. In secret in my soul, I will gather blossoms for thee. Dipping them in devotion, I will lay them at thy feet. In secret in my soul, I will gather blossoms for thee. Dipping them in devotion, I will lay them at thy feet. Dipping them in devotion, I will lay them at thy feet. Dipping them in devotion, I will lay them at thy feet. Dipping them in devotion, I will lay them at thy feet. Let's pray together. Divine Mother,
Divine Mother,
Heavenly Father,
Heavenly Father,
friend, beloved God, great masters of self-realization, Jesus Christ, Babaji Krishna, Lahiri Mahashaya, Swami Shri Yukteswar Ji, beloved Guru, Paramahansa Yogananda Ji, saints of all religions, humbly bow to you all. Divine Mother, we offer our love, our devotion, service and meditation at thy feet. We are thy little children. Come to us, guide us, uplift us into thy light, into thy eternal joy. We are thine. Be thou ours, Mother. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Friends, we'll take this chant into our meditation. This chant is called I awake in thy light, I awake in thy light. I am joyful, I am free. I awake in thy light. Then I awake in thy love and I awake in thy joy. So let's sing this together. Friends, let's sit upright, keeping the spine straight and relaxed. Let's tense the body with a double inhalation and relax. 2 more times. Gather the tensions, worries, And with the outgoing breath, remove them from the body and mind. Sitting upright. Feel the joy of meditation. Let's begin our meditation with joy. Bring your focus initially to the heart. Feel the openness in the center of the chest. The prayer and devotion. And now slowly, using the tool of the incoming breath, feel that you're lifting that devotion and making an offering of it at the point between the two eyebrows. Focus your attention at that point, at the spiritual eye. And now for about 15 minutes, let us practice any technique of meditation we may know, or calmly call to God, call to Divine Mother at that point. Reveal thyself, Mother, in the form of calmness, stillness, inner light. Let's try to perceive the divine presence of God, the blessing of the Masters at the point between the two eyebrows. Let's meditate now for about 15 minutes. Welcome once again, friends. As you know, we are discussing quotes from the app
Daily Wisdom from Autobiography Yogi.
Wisdom from Autobiography of a Yogi. And we have picked up in the week that went by and the week that will come. So I'll start by sharing from for June 3rd. And the reading is from chapter 19 of Autobiography of a Yogi. The trivial preoccupations of daily life are not enough for man. Wisdom too is a native hunger. And this is a very interesting reading. I think we all can somewhere feel the truth behind those words that Yogananda ji is saying that, especially let's just take the simple example of when we must have read Autobiography of a Yogi. Perhaps before that we have read our curriculum. I remember I was in medical school. As much as I enjoyed my profession, the subjects, learning new things, spending time with teachers, autobiography was just on such a different level that on one level many times we keep that book aside, and many people I've heard are not able to finish the book because the truths are too high. But on the other hand, if we read it with an open mind, with a questioning mind, sometimes we get some help. If we allow some time to pass, if we revisit the book, we find that actually it makes us very happy. It reveals what is written in these lines, wisdom to us. So what is wisdom? And why is Master saying over here that the mundane life is not enough? I want to start by explaining the caste system as Yogananda ji explained it. He said in the higher ages, and we can apply this in our daily life right now since we have the proper understanding. He said the caste system was actually like a daily gauge. You might call it like a thermometer, spiritual thermometer, to see where we are, how are we doing. And on the lower scale, Shudra consciousness, shall we say, is when one is not able to help himself. When we are very happy with the mundane, you might say just enjoying good food, perhaps enjoying worldly recognition, looking around, maybe we have a lot of social security, and we are content with that. Sometimes we try to suggest these things to people, the spiritual teachings, and they say, it's like Yogananda used to say, it's like a child. You try to tell them and they say, oh, let me sleep, let me continue sleeping. And Master says, okay, I won't disturb you. And that is the Shudra consciousness. Actually, if you really go deep, you see that Yogananda ji said the Shudra consciousness is such that we are not able to even help ourselves. Often it presents in the form of dark moods, sadness, laziness, and that is, that is the affair. And you can imagine how much activity or creativity can happen at that level. Hardly any. Then when our consciousness perhaps, is slightly higher, we enter the Vaishya consciousness, where we are very interested in doing something as long as it brings about some returns personally to us. And you might say, as we were reading, that the trivial preoccupations in life and our planet, Kriyananda ji explained, is today in the what is called the Dwapar age of energy, and it on one level correlates with the give and take. It's a wonderful thing to actually give and take, but if taking is the prime motive, we still haven't learned the real joys of life itself. And when the consciousness goes a step higher, in the third stage, Yogananda ji said we are chiefly Kshatriya consciousness, where our real happiness or purpose of life, goal, comes actually in giving rather than receiving. That becomes the motto. And if you look around, friends, today, so many inspire works are happening. People are trying to find solutions to problems which mankind itself created recently, sometimes long ago. And you find that people are very happy when they do that. And finally, Yogananda ji said that, in the state of actually Kshatriyahood, one is happy even to offer their life, because that is the purpose of life. I was just last week reading a book which has been written by a doctor who got a Nobel Peace Prize for this discovery, and it's about telomeres, which very briefly explaining is the end of our chromosomes, and they protect the chromosome and they can prolong the life of the chromosome, which can then prolong our own life in a healthy state. And actually they have done many studies of that in the labs, and they found that people who have a purpose in life, now they define the purpose as something for which they are joyfully aspiring, they believe that is what they have to do in life, they came into this world to do something. They found people who have a purpose in life, their telomeres were much more healthy. The enzyme which functions over there, telomerase enzyme, was high, and they have long lifespan, a healthy brain, healthy body. And it is so amazing that science is catching up with some of these things which others would say, oh, I don't believe in this, So, and finally, like I was saying, when we come to the spiritual thinking, abstract thinking, we start with that, we start questioning what is life about, is there a meaning in life? That is when we enter the Brahman consciousness. And Yogananda ji said, as we question, we start receiving answers, because we have reached a very pure level. The heart is where intuition is, and we start feeling those answers. And then we say, oh, my job, my family, and my day-to-day hobbies, my sports, everything else can continue. It's like the story of Saint Francis, who was from a very wealthy home. And at one point he started doing charity, then he started helping the lepers nearby. But one day he was still unhappy, and he asked this question while he was reflecting in a cave. Why am I unhappy? He asked that question, and he received a response. Because you don't have me, Francis. And he recognized that as the voice of Christ, of God. And you see, he continued serving, befriending people. But he said from that moment, it was God he was serving. It was God towards which he was moving. So his consciousness changed. You might say he was a Brahmin at that stage. So in these lines, Yogananda ji is saying that there comes this point where nothing holds meaning for us. There are many stories. I will relate with this one before I close. That Kriyananda ji used to say in 1940s, the world's richest man was an American, Howard Hughes. And a week before he passed away, a journalist got the opportunity to have a telephonic interview, and he asked many questions, one of which was "Sir, are you happy?" And Howard Hughes replied that he wasn't. And Swami said, "We should think about these things." He said he was the richest man in the world, and you can fill in the blank. How rich are you compared to when you were a student? I'm actually not much different, shall I say? But in many ways, all of us have made more wealth, made more friends, earned what we wanted to. But if we can tap into that wisdom, our life can remain the same, but we realize that there is so much purpose to us and our lives.
So this is the real-time app I'm showing on the phone, and I'm reading from June 1st. This app is called, by the way, Autobiography of a Yogi Daily Wisdom. So June 1st, I'm reading one of the lines from Autobiography Yogi from chapter 18, which is called a Mohammedan Wonder Worker. So the lines which we have taken from this chapter are: miracles of a permanent and beneficial nature are performed by true saints because they have attuned themselves to the omnipotent Creator. Now there are many things here that we could discuss. First thing Master says here, that permanent and beneficial nature, miracles of permanent and beneficial nature. Second thing, he says here also that he talks about true saints. And third thing, that he's saying that those who have attuned themselves to omnipotent Creator. So I'll talk about miracles a little bit and talk about the true saints first. That Master said that there are many saints, they will perform miracles. Only true saints, they will perform miracles that will be permanent and beneficial in the nature. And let's understand who are the true saints first, and what are the permanent miracles they perform. Master said that anyone who has achieved a Nirvikalpa Samadhi, that he's always one with God, is a true saint. And anyone he hasn't achieved that state of Nirvikalpa Samadhi, they are not the true saint. They are saint, but not the true saint, and they can fall down from that higher state until they reach the Nirvikalpa state of Samadhi. And so let's understand first that what are those miracles those are performed by the saints who haven't achieved the greatest state. Master said there are many saints who will perform miracles that will look to us very big. For example, materializing vibhuti, materializing this, materializing that, and those things these things will look very big to us. But Master said that those things, from a true saint's point of view, they are not big at all. Those are very little things like performed by magicians in a magic show. And Master said one time that the path to finding God is not like a circus, that you perform the stunts here and there. And so you can see that many saints in India, they would perform to attract people, materializing this, materializing that, sweets, or vibhuti, or this. And Master said that if I had to attract people by performing miracle, I could have easily done that. But God did not want me to do that. And Master says many examples that how even a saint, even a high state saint, they get into a trap of showing their ego to the people in terms of performing miracles. That there's so many stories. That story of Saint Gorakhnath, that Master said that he lived for 300 years, and he had attained all the siddhis, 8 siddhis. But at the end of his life, he was still thinking that what I'm going to do with 8 siddhis. And he said that whom can I give these 8 siddhis to the person that can use it? And Master said that he saw in the vision there was a man that he saw in the vision there was a man standing at the bank of the river that he can give those siddhis to him. So he materialized those siddhis in the form of 8 mud balls, and he went to that man at the bank of the river and he gave it, and he said that I have all these siddhis, I wanted to give it to you. And the man took it from Gorakhnath, but he took it and he threw in the Ganges, threw in the river. And Gorakhnath was very upset. He said that I did for 300 years, found all the siddhis, and you threw in the river. And the man, he looked in his eyes and he says, Baba Gorakhnath is still in delusion. Imagine, and that was God materialized in the form of a man that was waking Gorakhnath, that come on man, wake up, that you're still in delusion. And at that moment Gorakhnath, he realizes mistake. So imagine for 300 years he had all this miracle, but still in delusion, thinking that I have attained all the siddhis. There was another story of a saint in Maharashtra, that Yogi Changdev, that who would ride on a tiger. He came to meet one of the famous saints in Maharashtra, Sant Gyaneshwar, and he had to bow down to Gyaneshwar at the end, because he realized that he spent 1200 years to attain all these siddhis, but still he was in delusion. So it can be a big temptation to show the miracles, to perform the miracles, and to basically to show your ego to the people that, oh look, I am so great, I can perform these miracles. But Master said that a true saint will never perform miracles to show that how great he is. In fact, they will never perform a miracle to show their greatness. Master Yogananda ji, when he came to India in 1935, he made one dead man alive. He revived a dead man. When he returned to America in 1936, Dr. Lewis asked him, Master, why did you do that? The Master said, because God asked me to do that. And Master said and Master further told him that I will never do anything which God will not ask me to do. And so that is the greatness of a saint, that they are always attuned, they do the will of the God. And in fact, there are so many stories of a great saints that they perform. There's one interesting story I would like to share about Neemkarori Baba, that he was in Allahabad, in Prayag. Then one woman heard that Neemkarori Baba was there, and she heard that Neemkarori Baba was still mid-age, in 50s or 60s, and she said that when I was a young girl of 9 or 10 year old, I saw Neemkarori Baba. He used to come to my house to meet my parents, and he was in 50s. And after 50 or 60 years, she could not believe that Neemkarori Baba was still looking at the same age. So she came to meet him in one of the devotees' house. And she was going to tell everyone that how come Neemkarori Baba is looking same. But before she said, Neemkarori Baba started shouting at her. She says, don't disgrace me, don't tell these things to everybody. And he did not let her to tell everyone about these things. So these are the things that we can see in the lives of great saints, that they don't perform miracles to show people. Swami Kriyananda, he had so many powers, but he never showed this power to show that, oh, I'm so great. But he always wanted to bring people to Paramahansa Yogananda. Master wrote in our Autobiography, Yogi, that Shri Yukteswar knew all the laws of the miracle, and he could perform them at will whenever he wanted, but he never showed them to people. So we see that that is the sign of a great saint, that they will never perform miracles publicly to attract people. And if they do, you can be sure that they are not the great saints. How can we utilize these lines in our daily life? Of course, we also get some sort of visions, some sort of experiences in our meditations as we grow spiritually. What are those experiences, those visions? Should we share them with anyone? No. We should not be sharing with them to anyone unless we feel that could be beneficial for somebody else on the spiritual path, because those experiences, those visions are sacred. Those are very sacred relations between us and God. And if we reveal to them, to other people, we are losing that sacredness, that sacred relationship between us and God. So if you experience anything that something very deep and profound, an experience of God, don't reveal just like that to anybody, but reveal to anyone if you feel that inner sanction of God and that revelation could be beneficial to that person. Only in that case, if you do that, it is fine. Otherwise, basically, you are showing your own ego. You are inflating your own ego, and that is bad on the spiritual path. That ego is so subtle that if you do that, sooner or later we'll find out, we'll fall down on the spiritual path. So this is a very interesting lines from the Autobiography Yogi. Now I will let Dr. Aditya discuss the next line.
The next reading is for June 4th. A strong man can assist a weaker one by helping to carry his heavy load. A spiritual superman is able to minimize his disciples' physical or mental burdens by sharing the karma of their actions. Just as a rich man loses some money when he pays off a large debt for his prodigal son, who is thus saved from dire consequences of his own folly, so a master willingly sacrifices a portion of his bodily wealth to lighten the misery of his disciples. And this is from chapter 21, We Visit Kashmir, Master's chapter, where you will remember that Sri Master is talking and explaining why Sri Yukteswarji lost a lot of weight and how he actually came close to dying, but was of course very aware of what he was doing. Basically, Yoganandaji also explains that a master, again as Devendraji was explaining, a saint, they know how to, Master said, take on somebody's illness. He said otherwise we should not do it, we should not try to unless we have God's sanction. He said we cannot take, first of all, as I'll explain in the next reading, we are first of all trying to help ourselves or keep our body fit. But here he's saying that this is how masters can help. And I was thinking of it practically, that I remember I was not very good at mathematics when I was in school, but my older sister was. And just sometimes a day or two before the exam, I would go to her with some major areas where I needed help. And she would so easily, nicely explain it to me. And it was such a, like as if a weight or a fear or a confusion, cloud of confusion had lifted off my mind. Similarly, think of situations where we are in and somebody comes and for them it's not such a big thing to help. That is the unseen help that I'm sure we have felt many times in our life when Master comes across. As Devendraji was saying, that they don't talk about it, but a simple, sudden miracle happens. We suddenly find that, one thing after the other is being helped. And that is a very sure sign. That is also, I was thinking, that what a beautiful, sweet mechanism God has put in place. Because how do we get bad karma? Bad karma is something which happened in ignorance. Ultimately, Yoganandaji explained that sin is nothing but error. That sometimes it can be deliberate and that is much more harmful to us. But he said many times we are in ignorance. We don't know there are laws. And that is the process of evolution, and then we grow stronger by developing our wisdom and slowly. But there are people who have gone before us. Kriyanandaji said, especially in today's time, people are talking so much about democracy, or they keep trying to improve it, which is where the world is. But he said, you see, this world is like a ladder. Somebody has gone before you, others are trying to climb it beneath you, and you have to keep moving upwards and take the help of those. So for us, those are the masters. That is satsang, through reading, through chanting, through the influence of others, and especially as Master says in the above all, when it comes to heavy karma, Yoganandaji said when Christ, who was an avatar, totally freed from his own karma, even at birth, when he was crucified on the cross, he took on the karma of many people, especially of his disciples. And if you read, you will see that just before the resurrection, they had a very uplifted experience. From there on, they were able to really fulfill his work and mission, because it said that he inspired them, or he uplifted them with infused them with his power. But that power came because he had relieved them from many karmic debts, you might say. So a very beautiful thing. It also speaks of actually friendship, because so many times on a very practical level in day-to-day life, Master speaks of physical and spiritual suffering, mental suffering. when we are in deep distress, we often go to a friend who we know can help us, uplift us. In the same way, let's see the Guru, let's see God as our friend who has gone before us, is extending a hand. One time, Kriyananda ji said that somebody was going through confusion in the times when Yogananda ji was alive, and Swamiji asked Master, will you help him? And Master helped him. Few months later, again this person was having a lot of doubts, and Swami asked Yogananda ji, sir, will you not help him? And he said, Master was sad this time, and he said, it won't help. He said, because it has gone too far. He said, this time the devotee is not even inwardly asking for help. And I thought that was such a sweet thing, that Master was tuning into whether a call is coming, because that is where really a Guru helps, inwardly. And again, like Sri Yukteswar ji said, so let's count our blessings and let's begin our day with gratitude and see how we feel the proximity of Master in our lives all the time.
Here is another reading from May 30, and this is from chapter 16, Outwitting the Stars. Here's the reading. The great masters of India mold their lives by the same godly ideals which animated Jesus. These men are his proclaimed kin. Whosoever shall do the will of my Father, which is in heaven, the same is my brother and sister and mother. Very lovely quote from Bible. Master has given Autobiography Yogi from Jesus Christ. So the crux of these lines are that whosoever does the will of my Father is will of my Father which is in heaven, the same is my brother, sister and mother. So Master Christ and Master, they are relating with each other on a very, very deep level, not on the physical, biological level, but from God as children of God. And who are the true children of God? There is a very lovely movie called The Jesus of Nazareth. It is a long movie, you can watch on YouTube. And there is a story in that movie told by Christ himself in the church in Bethlehem, in Jerusalem. And he is telling children that there were two sons of a man who had a vineyard, and he called both of his sons one day, and he says that he asked both of the men that, will you go? He asked his first son, will you go and do the work in the vineyard? He says yes, but he did not go. He went somewhere else and he did not do the work. He asked the second son, will you go and do the work in the vineyard? And the second son, he says yes, and he went and he did the work. Now, these are the examples of us in our daily life. Many of us, we say yes to God, but we do not do His will. And many people, they say yes to God and they do His will. Now, who among these two are the true sons of the God? The one who says yes and who does the will of the God. And so that those are the true children of the God, that they unite their will to God's will. There's a funny thing people say sometimes, that there are two wills, that my will and God's will. So actually, in fact, there's only one will. But once the human will is egoistical will, it's very little. It has a very limited power. But once we unite our will to God's will, it becomes unlimited. It becomes a powerful will, that we can attain anything we want in the universe. And this is what we want to achieve. This is the purpose of the spiritual life. You can say that we want to do will of God in every situation. How do we apply how do we practice these things in our daily life? Master said that if you have any situation, always ask God, what do you want me to do in the situation? I have tried. It is so difficult sometimes that, and if you ask God, what do you want me to do? And I'm already thinking what I want to do. And many times, sometimes it happens that, no, I don't want to do God's will. I want to do this is what I like. This is what I want to do. And so it is not easy when you start to practice this, that God, what should I do in this situation? What do you want me to do now? and you feel certain things and you try to feel the response of God, and there could be a tug of war inside you that the ego might be wanting to saying that, oh, no, I want it because I like this, I want to do this. And this may seem easy, but this is not easy. And so in every situation ask, what is trying to happen? What does God want me to do? These are the ways that we can attune our will to God's will. Probably we will not be successful in the first attempt, second attempt, third attempt, and many attempts. But slowly as we meditate, as we practice spiritual thing, slowly we begin to realize that if we do God's will, everything turns out at the end the best it could be. And if we do our will, it won't be that good. So let's try to do in small things, that in very little things, that try to do God's will. And then in every situation, Swamiji said that even you can ask, when you are going to wear a shirt, ask God, which shirt you want me to wear today? And try to do that, try to practice that, try to feel in yourself what God is, which shirt is God wanting you to wear, and try to do that and see if you are able to do that. And apply this in a very little thing, very mundane things. Don't go for the big things. Start from a very mundane, very little things, and then slowly go for the higher things. And slowly, one day we'll find we are able to attune our will to God's will, and that is the aim of all yoga practices that Master is saying here. And then we become the true sons of God. We become the brother or son, sisters or mother of the Christ, of all the great masters.
Yes, do we have a question? No. So friends, we just crossed our time, but I'll read this last reading, which is very simple and self-explanatory, very practical also, for June 6th, chapter 21. An unsound physical instrument is a hindrance to God meditation. The Hindu scriptures teach that the first duty of man is to keep his body in good condition, otherwise his mind is unable to remain fixed in devotional concentration. And just share the story that when Swamiji was a very young monk and beginning on the spiritual path and helping Master with editing the Bhagavad Gita, Yogananda ji wrote him a letter which you can read in the New Path, and very simple instructions: wake up early, jog for 5 to 10 minutes thrice a day, eat your meals at this time, work for 8 hours with concentration. But because those are general guidelines, as you will see, to keep a healthy body, to keep a healthy mind. And devotional concentration is something we practice. That is the goal of meditation, to love God in silence, in stillness. And Yogananda ji said we all have that natural love, longing in our heart. But if the body is uncomfortable or restless, then he said we are not able to discover that within ourselves. So let's see how we can apply these teachings in our life in the days to come, in the weeks to come, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks' time. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Enjoy it.